We thought it was going to be terrific, black and white people together. There were 150 black people and 7 white people. 5 of the white women were married to black men, and my wife and myself. Then I went to a retirement party, a venue, big celebration for the Reverend Paul McDaniel, 48 years, Second Missionary Baptist Church, and the Hamilton County Commissioner. And I knew that everybody would come out for the Reverend. They did. 250 black people and 2 white people. And I turned around and said to some of my friends, "What's wrong? What's happening in Chattanooga?" And he said, "We've never gotten together. We've never pulled ourselves together." I went to my cousin and said, "That's ridiculous. That's stupid. We got to do something about that." My wife and I bought a house over on Reed Avenue, across from the church on Main. We started having what we call dessert conversations. We had as few as 20 and as many as 60 in my house. When you get 60 in a living room that's built for 30.
Got our people together. We got black and white people together, sit together, adults, people my age, people a little bit younger. I had white guys walking up to my door say, "What did I say to a black guy?" And I say, "Well, I say, hi, I'm Franklin McCauley. Who are you?" He said, "That's all you got to say?" I said, "That's all we got to say. But we got to speak to each other. We got to do that." While we were talking, some people, both black and white, started telling stories about racism. Both. It's still going on. And so they said to me, "Franklin, how come there's still racism? How come we can't get along with white people of color, black and Hispanic? Why can't we do this?" I said, "Let me go back to where it starts. I was born in 1940. The minute I was born, probably I got a Confederate flag in my hand. I was born at McCalie School. Hey, I know you're my friend. Stay with me. Thank you. I got a Confederate flag. I was told about the Civil War. I was told about our great leaders, our generals. It's in the air, folks. When little kids get told about how wonderful the Civil War was and how we were fighting for our rights. People didn't tell me we were fighting for slavery. They didn't tell me that at first. My church didn't tell me that. They didn't say that. So I was raised that way. And I began to see what the rules were in Chattanooga. Blacks were there and whites were on the other side. It happened all the time. And they talked about black and white, black and white. And black people were over there, and I knew I was a white guy. Listen, when I was born, I was white, male, and my name was McCauley. That gave me 3 privileges a lot of people didn't have. 10 years of age, I got on a bus. I gave him a little token. I put it in the slot. I was coming from school. I turned to face the bus. Bus was crowded. Every seat taken except that bus. But all the people on that bus were colored. That's the word we used at the time. There was a black woman sitting right here. It was an empty seat. I'm 10 years old. I can sit in that seat, except I wasn't supposed to. It's 1950, and I'm not supposed to sit in that seat. And I know it. I'm 10. So I do what I'm supposed to. I look right at her. Little 10-year-old boy. All the black people on that bus had worked all day long. End of the day. She had worked all day long. She didn't have to stand up. But she did under the rules, under the law. I could have both seats because I was white. I looked at her. She didn't move. So I did the next best thing. I looked at the bus driver. He's white. I know what he's going to do. He's going to make her get up and let me sit down there and make her go back and stand at the back of the bus. He doesn't do it. Why? Several reasons. 1, I'm a little 10-year-old boy. 2, he knows where his money comes from. I put a little token in there. These people pay full price. That's the reason the Montgomery bus boycott worked. You see, when the buses were boycotted by Martin Luther King and the black people there wasn't any money going into that bus company. And they knew it. And the white people got so upset that when black people walked the streets to their jobs, they put in a new rule that black people couldn't loiter on the streets or else they'd get arrested. White people at that time, 1954, 55, 56, they knew where the money was, and so did the black people. So did Dr. Martin Luther King. And they beat him. Went over a year, but they beat him. At any rate, so I'm watching. Bus starts. I'm standing there. Nothing's happening. I decide I got to do something. Everybody's looking at me. Thank goodness for this black lady. She was the sweetest thing to me. She didn't say mean things to me. She's sitting here. I'll never forget. Said it twice. Honey, you can sit right here. It's all right. You can sit right here. I did. I sat down to get away from the eyes. I sat like this. And I waited. I sat there for 2 miles, first to get off. I got off. I was okay. Wasn't hurt. Hadn't turned black. But I didn't go home and tell my mother and father what I'd done. Then I'm 11 years old. We're in Memphis. My father said, we're going to see the greatest zoo in the world. Boy, it's wonderful. You're going to love this zoo. He was tired of traveling and all, and he wanted us interested. So we pulled up to the Memphis Zoo, Overton Park Zoo. He said, uh-oh, we can't go. Now, I've been waiting on this 100 miles. I said, what do you mean we can't go? He said, look at that sign. This is the sign. It wasn't that day in 1951 when I went as an 11-year-old boy, but that's the sign. No white people allowed. I looked at that thing. I'd never seen a sign that said no white people allowed. I've seen this one up here. You can't see it from here. Thursdays, colored only. Thursdays. So this was a Thursday. I couldn't go. I said to my dad, wait a minute, why can't I go? He said, son, it's for colored people only today. And I said, yeah, but I'm here today. And he said, well, let me get this straight with you, son. White people can go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Only one day we can't go. I got mad. Guess who I got mad at? The colored people. I didn't get mad at people making the rules. I got mad. I said, but I'm here today. I looked in there. He didn't know I'd sat by a black woman on the bus. See, I was ready to go in. But these were the laws. And it took a while more for those to come down. How'd we get there? We got there through fear. We got there through some hate. We got there through white people were unwilling at that time to throw off the bonds. Not all white people. NAACP was founded in New York City with black and white working together. Both founded the NAACP. But for some reason, many white people are looking back at the days of slavery and are not saying about black people, they're human. I know this. Don't like to say it, but I know it. Here's how. I'm 20 years of age. I'm in Memphis. A friend of mine says to my church group, come on, let's go on Lemoyne College. It's now Lemoyne Owens, all black college. 1961, first year of the sit-in. I said, why are we going? He said, I want the church group to go and meet some of the colored kids. And I said, why? He said, I want you to get to know what they think. And I said, why do I care what colored kids think? Now, I wasn't a hater. I just didn't care about black people. They weren't in my sphere. That's one of the biggest problems. If you're not together, you don't care, you don't reach out. We went. He embarrassed me, so I went. 70 white kids walked in, 30 black kids in a circle. We got in the circle and looked at each other. We had never seen each other before. We had never looked at each other before. Finally, they said, okay. One black guy stood up and he said, "Welcome, Rhodes College. Nice to have you guys here. We're going to have a 3-hour dialogue." And the white guy, my friend, said, "Here are the rules. Be honest, be courteous. Be honest, be courteous." So we said, okay, divide up into 10. 3 black, 7 white. We went to little rooms. We got there. There was the leader, the black leader, a black girl, and this guy. Don't remember him. But the black leader, the young man, and the young girl, black girl, started talking just to break the ice for the white people. They were so smart, so quick, so funny, that I got a funny feeling. Young man in the corner, I want you too. I really do. I really do. Yeah, look at me. Look at me. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. These kids were so quick, so smart that I realized these 2 black kids are smarter than I am. I'm the son of the headmaster of McCalie School, and these 2 colored kids are smarter than I am. And I said, "Wait, Dad, you don't know it. My church doesn't know it. No white person in the South that I knew how smart black kids were." So I got mad. Who'd I get mad at? Huh? The black kids. I didn't get mad. I was mad at my father, but I was mad at the black. They shouldn't be so smart. So I raised my hand. Be courteous, be honest. So I said, "Young man, let me ask you a question." He said, "Fine, Franklin." Had my name tagged. I said, "I heard in World War II," now remember this is 1961. It's just 15 years after World War II. I said, "I heard that black troops didn't fight very well. They surrendered. They weren't good fighters." We didn't know about the Tuskegee Airmen at that point. He said, "Where'd you hear that, Franklin?" I said, "I heard it from my father." Now, what had happened was, white troops had come home, seen my father, said that to him, and he accepted it. He accepted every word. This young kid could have said to me, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and your father's an idiot." If he had said it, it would have been all over. I wouldn't have talked anymore, and I wouldn't have changed. But listen to what he said to me. He said, "Franklin, I don't think you and I know enough about that to discuss it intelligently right now. He saved my face. He didn't put me down. He saved my father's face." And he said, "But let me ask you something. Did you have anybody fight in World War II?" I said, "Yes, I had 2 uncles. One was at Pearl Harbor when it was bombed. The other's in the Philippines." He said, "I had 2 uncles that fought in World War II also." He said, "What were they fighting for?" I said, "My uncles were," "What do you mean, what were they fighting for?" "Freedom and justice and democracy and the pursuit of happiness." He said, "So were my uncles." And I said, "Great." And he said, "Let me ask you something else. You ever eat in downtown Memphis?" And I said, "Wait a minute, we're talking about World War II." He said, "So am I, if you'll listen to me." He said, "Do you ever eat in downtown Memphis?" I said, "I do." He said, "What do you do, on shopping day?" I said, "Yeah, I go and shop and eat." And he said, "After you shop in the stores, where do you eat?" And I said, I eat in the store I'm in." And he said this, "My uncles and I go shopping in downtown Memphis. They're the ones who fought." Could you put away your phones, please? Thank you. He said, "They're the ones who fought World War II for freedom and justice." He said, "Do you know where they eat?" I said, "I don't know. I've never seen it." He said, "That's because we get on a bus and ride 2 miles out of town because we can't eat in the same place we shop." And that hit me right there. I mean, I got tight. These guys, these soldiers who fought against Hitler and Japan, like my uncles, and they couldn't eat in the same place they shopped. It hurt me. I couldn't stand it. I got quiet. He said, let me ask you something else. You go to the bathroom? I said, yeah, I go to the bathroom. He said, where you go to the bathroom? I said, I go anywhere I want. He said, you know where my uncle said I go to the bathroom? The ones that fought in Germany and Japan for freedom and justice? I said, no. He said, we get on a bus and ride 2 miles out of town to go to the bathroom because they won't let us go to the bathroom anywhere where we've shopped. And folks, my life changed. I went home that night to my dorm. I sobbed for 3 hours. I cried. I went to the dean of men the next day. I dropped out. Son, I've tried before. I really have tried with you. Please stick with me. Thank you. I went to the dean of men. I said, this is crazy. This is a Christian college, and over there are people we don't even know. I dropped out. I went in the service. I went in the Navy. I came back, married my childhood sweetheart who was from Chattanooga, finished college, taught in Baltimore, went to Harvard for my master's, and then came back here and walked into mccalie School and said to my father, who was now the headmaster, my grandfather and my great-uncle founded mccalie. I said to my father, who was then the headmaster, Dad, I want to teach at mccalie, but you got to integrate. It's 1968. He said, I can't integrate. Those people can't do our work. And I said to my father, Dad, you've never met a black person. You don't know any black people. And he said, oh yeah, I do. I know Dr. C.C. Bond, who was the principal of this high school. It was the single black person my father really knew. And then all of a sudden I understood something. My father didn't have enough contact with black people to understand that they were human beings like he was. He was living 100 years before. I walked out of his office, came right over here to Howard School, interviewed with Dr. Cliff Hendricks, Mr. Bill Murray. They took me on as a teacher. It was one of the great decisions I ever made. It changed my life. As I told you, I've taught some of the smartest kids I've ever taught in my life. I'm going to give you two stories. I'm teaching American literature, and the story is a Western. And one kid says to me in the back, he said, Mr. mccalie, why are you old white man coming over here teaching us colored kids about cows and horses? And I said to him, what's this story about? He said, cows and horses. I said, this story's about justice. It was about a lynching. It was about a mob. That's why I was teaching it. And he said, well, I don't think so. And I said, what are you going to be when you grow up? He said, I'm going to be an attorney. That was Walter Williams, who went on to Morehouse and then went on to law school and became a great attorney and a great judge in this town. But he was fighting me all the time for what was right and what was wrong. At the end of 2 years, they made me the first white assistant principal. The judge, the federal judge, told the school district, you're going to put white assistants in Riverside and Howard and black assistants in Brainerd and City. That's the way we were divided at that time. Fall 1971, I'm the assistant principal. Last story, but I want you to hear it. Mr. Hendricks came to me. He said, Franklin, we've got to send a spirit bus to Pearl, Nashville Pearl, now Nashville Pearl Cone. He said, nobody wants to go with the kids except you and Miss G. Would you take this bus? I said, sure, 50 kids. The football buses had already gone. Friday afternoon on an October day. We got on the Greyhound, we went over Mont Eagle Mountain. The bus blew a tire, we pulled over. I got 50 black kids in 1971 on the side of a highway. White bus driver, he can't leave the bus. Miss G, but I got 50 great kids. We pulled over at a grassy spot. I said to the kids, get out and go play. They did. It was wonderful. They got out, but I had to do something about that tire. I didn't know what I was going to do. Walked out on the highway. First car, some of our parents from Howard going to see their boys play football. They said, Mr. McCall, we'll get you to Manchester, 15 miles up the road, but then we got to go on to make the game. I said, okay. I took the number of the tire, went to the place, and said, we don't have a tire here. Got to go to Murfreesboro. I stayed, he came. 4 hours later, it's dark, supper's passed, the game is halfway over. We now have our tire. I said to the kids, I'm sorry, we can't get to the game. You'll get your money paid back, but we can't get. They said, let's go. We don't care about the game. We're hungry. We got to have burgers. Now this is 1970, 6 years after the congressional rule on open accommodations, the civil rights rule on accommodations. 1964, it said, any of us, black, white, Hispanic, any of us can go into any public place and eat. No problem, right? So I said to these kids, we'll go in there to Manchester, Tennessee. Now here's what happens when I tell a white crowd that. The whites just sit there and listen. When I tell black adults who were alive at that time and who knew anything about Manchester, Tennessee, they start laughing. And they say, white boy, didn't you know you weren't going to get any burgers in Manchester, Tennessee in 1970? And I said to them, no, the rule, the law was enacted 6 years before this. And they said, okay, tell us what happened. Here's what happened. We got on that bus, took that thing in. There were no McDonald's, no franchises. These are little mom and pop burger joints. We saw one. Bus pulled in. He pulled all the way over to the other side like he's supposed to, out of the way of the cars. Kids got out. They walked on out 2 by 2. They went to the door. Places jumping. Lights on, jukebox going. Everybody's in there eating. White people. All of a sudden, the bar goes down. Click. And somebody in there yells, we're closed. I looked at my watch. It's 8:15. I said, what time you close? He looked at his watch. 8:15. I said 8:15 on a Friday night. That's amazing. So I said to the kids, okay, kids, get back on the bus. They didn't say a word. Got back on the bus. We went on down the road. There was another one. Bus driver did the same thing. Pulled in, pulled over, all the way over here. Got up there, door. We're closed. I said, what time you close? 8:30. 8:30. This time the kid said to me, Mr. Caller, what's going on? I said, you know what's going on. And I know what's going on. But we're going to solve this. You're going to get your burgers. I'm going to tell you something. I never often be scared. I'm never often afraid. I've never been told no. But this night I was worried. I had 50 good, powered kids who needed burgers. It wasn't that we couldn't have gotten back on the bus and gone back for an hour and 50 minutes or something, but it wasn't fair. The law said we could have them. I turned that bus driver. I said, listen, we're going to go down this road. When you see, I'm going to finish, when you see a burger place, you pull over. He did. Then I got out. I walked 100 yards. I went to the burger place. I walked in. Everything's going. Everybody's eating. Noise of the jukebox. I said, where's your owner? They said, right there. I said, hi, sir. You open? He said, well, yeah. Can't you see it? I said, I can. He said, what you need? I said, can you give burgers to 50 high school kids? He's thinking this. He said, oh, yeah. Bring them on. I said, I will. I went back out. I got on that bus. I said to the kids, I know what you like. Young lady, I'm right at the big point. You're watching your TV. I know what you want, guys. You want burgers, but you want to sit with your friend. Doesn't matter who your friend is. When we get off this bus, you sit with the first person. You get in a chair, you go, and by the way, don't ask for a menu. Decide now. You want a cheeseburger, fries, Coke, get it now, right? Then I said to the driver, put me to the door. That bus driver almost put me through the door. He went up, we about knocked the cupola off the door. I jumped off that bus, grabbed that first door and this door, held them like this. Our kids came in, sat down and said, I want a cheeseburger, I want it. All those white people look. Gonna be on it. We got our burgers. Third try. But let me tell you what I didn't feel good about. It should never have had to happen. And if we'd been following the law, it wouldn't.